my fiance and I had decided to move in together to save money for the wedding. In January, I remember missing my period. So did a test, a pregnancy test, and as we were waiting in the waiting room, we were kind of not even talking about it, talking about other things. But I remember the doctor coming through the door and with a smile on his face saying, "Congratulations, you're pregnant." I didn't feel like being congratulated. I was worried about the wedding that we had planned in 5 months and what that would mean. I worried about what my parents would think and how would they tell other people. But I did what most people do. I opened up the telephone book and I looked for a women's clinic. I don't remember the exact day, but I do remember driving myself to the appointment. I remember going in and not much information being given. I'm sure that they had assumed that I had already made my decision, and that's the reason I was there. I was quite early in my pregnancy, about 7 or 8 weeks, and so they provided a medical abortion, which is done quite early, and it's 2 medicines that they gave me, the first one there in the office. I was kind of relieved at this point, which sounds really funny, but I kept imagining an abortion as being on a table and with instruments and pain. And so when they told me it was just these 2 pills, it seemed like such an easy way out. You see, women, it's not that they want to end the life of their child. It's that they just don't want to be pregnant anymore. And that isn't really an eraser. That you're ending the life of your child, but it doesn't mean that you stop becoming a mother, even though that child is no longer alive. I was awoken in the middle of the night with excruciating pains. You see, that second medication creates contractions within the uterus to expel what they call the products of conception. Funny thing is, the next day, I went to work as if nothing was happening. And my job at the time was in front of a classroom, instructing new immigrants on how to find work in the Canadian market. And as I was standing in front giving instruction, I remember feeling something. I asked my colleague to take over, and I went into the corporate washroom, and that's where it happened. I went into that corporate washroom, and that's where my baby was aborted. I remember the sound. I remember the sound of the baby hitting the water. Mind you, at 8 weeks, it's not going to be very big, but the sound was significant. And I knew right away that I had made the worst decision that I'd ever make in my whole life. I was compelled to look, and when I did, I felt even more disgusted with myself and regretful, and that's when I pushed down the lever on the back of the toilet and flushed the baby down the toilet. Years later, when I had spoken to a nurse about my experience, she commented on how I could have been in that washroom and I could have hemorrhaged and no one would have known. And I wondered how many women have gone through the same thing I did, alone, and maybe had complications. You see, abortion isn't an eraser. I wake up every morning and I know what I've done. And I regret it every single day.